I have a question. How do I get to forgiveness of both my parents to allow them to be active in my children's life? Like, backstory. So my mom and my dad were in a relationship from work. He was a married man with a family. And here I am. She gave him, you need to be with me and my child, or you will never see your child again. He chose his wife and children. So she took me out of the picture. And growing up, it was, your father doesn't love you because he would be here. Your father doesn't want you because he would be here. He didn't choose you, he chose them. And it wasn't until I was 18, graduated from high school, that I looked his name up in the Yellow Pages online, called him and was like, hi, it's me. So we've kind of, from that point, tried to build onto something so that we could get to a point of a relationship, but it's always, well, that's your mother, your mother did that, that wasn't, you know what I mean? And it's kind of just built a resentment to where I'm like, want to be protective of my babies. Mm-hmm. And I don't want to allow them to do and say certain things to my innocent children. Now, I'm like, what's done is done with me, y'all. You did what you did. You chose whatever you chose. But how do I get to a point to where I can put my guard down and allow them to be grandparents without worrying?
I love this question. When did you come to learn the story of how your father and mother came together?
I think I was 15, 16.
Okay. Did you find out or did they tell you?
My mom's sister, my aunt, told me the actual truth.
So does your dad know that you know?
Yes.
Okay. How?
And his response, when I asked him about it, like, why were you not around? I was literally in the next town, an hour and a half away. Why were you never around? And he was like, well, you don't remember that you told me you were tired of me and your mom fighting all the time, and I just decided just to walk away. And to me, that didn't sit right, because regardless, I was a child. Why would you walk away? At that point, you should have been more aggressively there.
I'm going to tell you this. You are in the right room.
And it has messed, like, I'm married, love my husband, he's everything, but that trauma has continued to carry where I'm just still, that wall is up and I refuse to bring it down for certain things.
So let me explain to you.
Yes, please.
That's okay. What your father could have risked by aggressively fighting for you.
Everything.
Is your father black?
Yes.
Is your mother black?
No, she's white.
Oh, this makes it even better to explain, worse for you to hear, but I think you need to understand some dynamics.
And I want to, and I'm so glad I found you so I could get an understanding.
So here we go. First of all, there is a man who previously said two statements. Men control access to relationships. Women control access to sex. But women also control access to parenting too. If your father, first of all, who created you out of what could be argued as an illegal relationship, right? Mm-hmm. If your father was to aggressively attempt to try to fight for you, your father especially if your mother gave him the option of leaving this to come with this, or you'll never see your child again. If he was to sit here and say, oh, hell no, you're not going to keep me from my children, and then he goes into court and files, let's just say it's in Illinois, a parental allocation of responsibility, and put himself on child support for you. All your mother would have had to do is, yeah, he would have gotten his parenting time by court order. He would have gotten his child support because that comes with it. But here's what your mom could have done. Your mom could have made a false allegation of domestic battery, a false allegation of something that gave her the reason to get an order of protection. Because women, God bless you all, but women especially, women, have political capital.
And she would have. She would have.
Okay then, political capital.
She actually told me when I asked her, the only reason I actually had you was to spite him. Since he hurt me, I wanted to hurt him.
Okay. So you know it. Let's continue. Right? Because it gets worse. It gets worse. Next thing you know, he gets an order of protection against him. And then when he gets that order of protection against him for 21 days, he can't be there. Then if it becomes plenary because he loses the will to fight, it becomes for 1 or 2 years. Okay, you coming in, I'm gonna mute your mic. Those things are not, but it becomes a 2-year order of protection, right? And here's another thing too. Who can't understand? What? Monique, you're kind of coming in and out. Can everybody else hear me? Okay.
Yes.
All right, okay, so let's continue. And when y'all come back in, I'll let you back in. Here we go. So then, all right, Miss Candace, here we go. So then, let's just say this, Tiffany. You are a little girl. Do you know all your mother has to do is make an allegation that your father touched you inappropriately? I was a young detective in a police department, and I had just taken on a case where a mother came in with her girls. I will not say how many. And my partner and I, we took down the information, and the allegation was this father had inappropriately touched his daughters. Now, there was no information about any penetration. There was no information about anything where we could take a sexual assault kit. There was none of those things. But it was that allegation. And with that allegation, we went down to a courthouse. I won't say which one it is. We waited during one of their divorce proceedings. We were sitting, my partner and I was sitting in the aisle. And once that court proceeding was over with, we took him into custody and took him to the police station. We interrogated him for maybe about 6 or 7 hours. He stuck to his story. We called the state's attorney to try to get felony review charges, but they said they needed more. And we didn't have enough to hold him. One of you got to mute yourself or the background because it's coming through. Did you know that the aunt of those girls came in with those girls later on, and the aunt showed us proof that she had lied?
Wow. Wow. I believe it.
And so I'm telling you this. It is understandable for you to come to your father in the manner that you did because you're coming from a position of hurt.
Mm-hmm.
It is very natural for you to say, well, why didn't you fight for me? That's a valid question.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm here to tell you today, if you begin to understand of what would have happened to him had he done that, and you begin to come to him with understanding, I guarantee you that he did the same thing that my father did in walking out of my life. I later learned, as a child, I know I'm moving all over the city. Don't ask me what part of Chicago I'm from. I'm from every part.
Mm-hmm. Same. That was my mom. She was a nomad of the land, just moving.
Oh yeah, we was everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
And then to find out, I asked my father in a little less emotional tone, but just straight up, just what happened? Tell me what happened. Well, I tried to come for you, son, but your mother kept moving you all over the place. So how did I connect that dot? We was moving all over the place. You weren't there. It makes sense.
That's what he told me.
And then knowing the abuse that my mom put me through, she couldn't tell me anything otherwise.
At all.
So I knew that my father was telling the truth. And so the thing is, there are fathers who must walk away. Why? Because your child will be an adult longer than they have been the kid. So why play the short game when you can play the long game?
And that's what he said. He said, I just prayed when you became an adult that you would find me.
And you did.
Mm-hmm.
And so now, Tiffany, I am telling you, your father may have evolved. Your father may be the greatest support system that you could ever ask for. But at this point, he may not feel as though he has the access to redeem himself, to show you that he has evolved.
That makes me cry. Thank you.
And so, because I said it, men control access to relationships. Women control access to parenting, and women control access to sex. Your father does not want to force his way into your life, because that may turn out the same way it would have been if he forced his way into your life back then.
Mm-hmm.
And so there is that slight hesitation.
This group session has been very informative for me.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, yes. Thank you.
Because
I've actually did my conceal and carry with Instructor Mike. He's a very good inspirational speaker. One of those that'll get to you and how you thinking and listening.
I'm in tears right now.
I'm just telling you, your father.
Yeah, he's very keen on his word, and that's what I like about him.
I appreciate that. Your father loves you so much, but your father needs to know.
I feel where you're coming from, Tiffany. I too been through that same situation of separation for no apparent reason, mainly because my mother was just that spiteful and didn't want to let my father be a man, and that my father lived my life and kept him away from me for so long. Mad at the world because he didn't want to take on the responsibility of my sister, which wasn't his child. I mean, you got to take the good with the bad at certain times, but to take a child away from her father at such a young age,
Mm-hmm.
it's crazy because I thinking when I was 9 years old, and I didn't see him no more until Christmas of '98. I was 18 years old. I was ecstatic. It was like seeing my father for the first time. Just to lose him months later because he was murdered. It hurt me because I never had a chance to actually know my father, you know. As a child growing up, talking to him and learning him, it kind of dissipated when I was taken away from him for all those years. To get back reunited with him, to try to build what we lost a long time ago, for him to be taken away from me by the hands of another man. It hurts me. And then to have my mother tell me that my father better off dead than he ever was on earth. That's the day in the moment that I despise my mother. That's the day that I literally lost all respect for my mother. That's the day that I actually put hands on my mother. How dare you? You laid with this man. You made me. But you could never take a child away from something so precious like that and then make it seem like it's all mine. It's because of you he wasn't around. It wasn't because of me. It's because of you he wasn't around.
Right.
You know, so I get where you're coming from. Like, I really get that. Good thing you still probably got your father around. I don't. So I could never have this conversation with him to find out what things went wrong or how we could go forth and fix things and none of that. My father been gone in 1998. And like I stated, I'm 44 years old. I basically spent my whole life without my father. And for my mother to treat me like she did growing up, and all I wanted was my father. I just always wanted my dad.
And the thing is,
crazy, but I feel where you're coming from, though. I actually have the understanding about that.
And when we look at some of the reasons that are provided,
but Instructor Mike gonna get it right together.
Y'all hear me? Y'all
definitely is.
The reason why, some of the reasons that are provided.
I'm guessing he having technical difficulties.
I must be.
I can hear you.
Oh, you can hear? Oh, okay. Oh. Yeah.
I can hear you.
The reason, if you think about it, the reasons why some men.
I definitely needed this little group chat real quick.
Oh, did you hear me?
Because it'd be days that I'd be lost in space inside of my head. Like, I wonder what my life would be like if it was different.
I want to let her finish.
You know?
I love it.
I could just go for what it is right now. I'm a grown adult. I got grown kids. I think I did the right thing and how I raised them, and they on the right path. I got a high school graduate coming and a college graduate coming next year. You know, so I feel like I did my part in raising mine the right way. Despite my upbringing and how I was raised, I just vowed that I'd never do what my mother did to my kids. That's what she did to me. That was traumatizing. Very traumatizing. Going to school with black eyes and big lips, and you got to tell your friends and everything, oh, I got jumped on yesterday. We live in the projects. Everybody know what goes on in the projects. Ain't nobody seen me fight nobody. But that's the story I told. That's the story I stuck to. It's crazy.
Yeah. Sorry to hear about that.
I mean, but shit, I got through it though. You know, I got through it with flying colors. So I got hurt hard from that, you know. And people call me mean and aggressive and all of this. I don't come off as being mean and aggressive, but I can see sometimes in certain conversations that I can get a little aggravated, you know, or a little heated, you know, and I only feel like that because I definitely got something down in me that I have not yet touched to bring it out. I haven't had the right person to actually bring it out of me, like to get me free from it or nothing like that. But like you said, Mike, that's something my mother has to do.
Yeah.
You know, and my mother is very stubborn in her way. She's very, very stubborn. She believes that what she did was right way, and that's how my grandmother raised her. But my grandmother had 5 kids, and she didn't just treat one. She treated them all the same. You know, and if one got in trouble, that one got in trouble. All didn't get in trouble, that one got in trouble. You know, and I just don't understand. My mother was a rebellious child of my grandmother's 5. She was the rebellious child. She was the one that wanted to do what she wanted to do, how she wanted to do it, when she wanted to do it. So she was treated as such. But you can't blame my grandmother for how she treated you when you caused all the things that happened to you to happen. you know, and that ain't just come from my grandmother's words. That came from my aunties and my uncles as well, you know. So my mother got issues of her own that she's battling, you know, but she just that stubborn. She's not gonna bring it out because I don't know if she just don't want nobody to feel sorry for her, or she just don't want nobody to really know. But then she expect for people to allow her how she act, to let her act that way because that's just her. But it's not good. It's not mentally okay, you know, because deep down inside, I believe I got some type of mental issue. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. They say the first thing to addiction is admitting, right? So I feel like I have some type of mental issue going on, but I can't grasp and say, oh, I have this and what's that. It's something going on, but I just don't know exactly what it is. But I've learned over the years to channel my anger. I learned over the years how to not let certain things get me to a certain point in life where as though it prohibits me or it brings me to a halt where as though I can't do nothing. I don't allow it to do that. I try to get past that. I do things else other, like read books, talk to other people. I give good advice to other people that I don't even use for myself, and I don't even know why that is.
Here's a question that was asked. Do you know any family on your father's side that can bring you perspective on what was happening back then? And that, I believe that was to Tiffany. That would be something that we needed to know. And I think I was trying to say this earlier, and then I'll open it up for you to answer that question. When we think about the reasons, it's said that your father was not there. How many of y'all know the song Papa Was a Rolling Stone?
Absolutely.
It is that was his home.
Yeah. And the thing is, that song is weaponized against the absent man. But if you look and listen to the lyrics, it was the 3rd of September, a date I'll always remember. That was the day that my daddy died. Never had a chance to see him. Never heard nothing but bad things about him. Mama, I'm depending on you to tell me the truth. And guess what Mama said? Papa was a rolling stone. Wherever he laid his hat was his home. And when he died, all he left us was alone. And it could be A-L-O-N-E or A space L-O-A-N. Depends on how you look at it. But then there's the other side of that people are not hearing. Yes, Papa was a rolling stone. Because just like alcohol and drugs, sex is also a coping mechanism. You know what else is? Always being gone at work. But if Papa was a rolling stone, can you tell us why you were one of those homes where he laid his hat? Of course she lied. And that's why there will be another stone. If you're not willing to tell me why you were one of those homes where he laid his hat, you're not doing me any better by lying to me.
Exactly.
And so, Tiffany, I guarantee you, I can almost guarantee you this. If you open the door, not excusing the behavior, your hurt is legitimate, but understanding the reason his departure was necessary. Also, because of the fact you were the love child.
That part.
Yeah.
You were the love child too. So here's this. That can bring about a whole nother deeper conversation about why people cheat.
Yep.
Knowing that your father could have been looking for something different in your mother that he wasn't getting in his wife. and that there was trauma there from that too. So it's also a sense of embarrassment, understandably so. But as a man who has cheated in the marriage, I got married when I'm not married now, but I got married when I was young at the age of 20. That was the worst mistake I made in my life. Not because of the person I married. That's what some people would think. I am not ever talking bad about her. She and I were trauma bonding. We had no business being married. And what are vows before God when you got voids on this earth? How can I have you and hold you in sickness and in health through good times and the bad when I've only experienced the bad? I've only experienced the worst. And so if she was who she needed to be to tell me no, if my mother and my grandmother and my aunt, before I got married, I took my then fiance over to my grandmother and my aunt to meet her. I wish they had been strong and healed enough to say, Mike, you in the military, you came home on leave, thank you for your service. You're doing good, young man. What are you about to do? No. You are not qualified to be anyone's husband or be anyone's father, because there are some things that we did not teach you. And if you marry her for love, you are going to regret it later, because the things that you are qualified for professionally do not translate over to being a qualified husband and father. And if you marry her, you will pay for it later. You are gonna, and she could be a beautiful young lady, but you are not qualified because we didn't teach you everything yet. But that's not what they did, Tiffany. Oh my God, she's beautiful. I just want to see you happy. Oh my God. Yes. No, that does us a disservice. And so you don't know why your father married that woman and cheated to create you. So there's that trauma too. And then you being a grown woman, also married, it's like shit. I don't know if I want to say anything, because then I wasn't there for you. Bring this man too, for me to say yes or no. So if I get into your life and I'm seeing your child, my grandson, and I'm being there, but then I see the red flags in your husband, oh, he gonna cheat on you because I was that way too. Oh, Tiffany, we gotta talk. And now, here he go, trying to tell you, and you like, oh.
Yep.
So now, you wasn't in my life when I was a kid.
Come on. Yes. You can't tell me nothing.
You're trying to sit here and mess with my happiness while your father could be trying to save you from the same pain that caused him to create you.
Yep. And that's where I'm trying to get to, wholeheartedly being able to accept and receive when he's trying to help or guide or any of that, because in the back of my mind, like you just said, I'm like, no sir, because you were not there for me when I needed you the most.
but he's there for you now, and you will need him forever. Because you don't know how long you're going to be alive. He don't know how long he going to be alive. Miss Scandalous just sat there and said she finally reconciled with her father and lost her father at the hands of another hurt man.
And I don't believe in coincidences, and I feel I was here at this moment with you guys for this reason.
You got somebody in the comments, Mona Lisa Harris, who's saying accept his love, but I'm not just gonna say just that. Accept his wisdom, because a smart person learns from their mistakes, but a wise person learns from the mistakes of others. And your father got so much wisdom to teach you. But the one thing we don't do in our community is we are taught to turn away from those who have failed instead of embracing them and learning that wisdom, so we don't have to go down those landmines. I love talking to older people, and I love asking them, teach me something from where you failed and you just sat on down, and they got a whole bunch of stuff to teach you and stories to solidify that message. Let your father, it's not about love, it's about the lesson.
Absolutely. I appreciate it. I really do. Thank you.
I guarantee you, if you allow him, I tell my older two children, the younger two, but I tell my older two children, it's not your job to love me. It's my job to love you and care more about your outcomes, that I am willing to sacrifice myself and put myself on the altar of embarrassment to tell you about my failures, to teach you, so that when life shoves a pencil in your hand, you will have a dot to connect.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. And I appreciate everything and all the comments.
You're more than welcome to reach out.
No problem. You always know it's somebody out there that got something similar or something just like you going on that you can always relate to.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. And I will definitely, I'm going to go back and rewatch this when you post it. And
yeah.